Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. It's day 641. Since the attacks by Hamas on October 7th of 2023, and since the atrocities on the more than 2 million people in Gaza began, where now food, water, gas, and electricity continue to be virtually non-existent, hard to come by, humanitarian assistance is being used as a weapon of war. I don't know if I've done anything in my life, honestly, 641 days in a row. I've prayed, but part of our commitment is that through God, nothing is impossible. And so we will diligently keep at it. And we believe through God, nothing is impossible, not even peace. And so we'll keep doing this every day until there's a comprehensive permanent ceasefire in Gaza. And we'll continue to work to end the occupation for justice and human rights for Israelis and Palestinians and the decades of war and conflict where the Palestinian people and their neighbors have suffered so much. So thank you for joining us on this journey. I don't have a major update in terms of the meeting between Trump and Netanyahu. I'm sorry, I'm headed to the airport to fly to Colorado. So I will do that tomorrow. But Israel and Hamas want to have that ceasefire in Gaza. President Trump said this yesterday as he met with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. According to Palestinian sources, Israel's refusal to allow the free and safe entry of aid into Gaza remains the main obstacle to progress in terms of the ongoing truce talks. So I'm not hearing any major announcements, at least not as of yet. We're holding out. Trump had said we could see a ceasefire agreement. It would be a 60-day agreement within a week. And I've not heard any progress on that as of yet. The U.S. and Israel are working to find countries that would give Palestinians a better future. Netanyahu told reporters, if people want to stay, they can stay. But if they want to leave, they should be able to leave. You'll recall that under Netanyahu, there's a new division in the Israeli government that was established for the displacement of Palestinians in Gaza. Separately, the Israeli leader suggested that a Palestinian state would be a platform to destroy Israel. You'll recall that France and other European nations were considering July 17th to 19th, the conference that was canceled. They were considering the possibility of actually declaring a Palestinian state, which of course did not happen. Palestinian health officials have said that Israeli strikes killed 18 people, while the Israeli military said the militant explosive attack killed 5 and wounded 14 Israeli soldiers in Beit Hanun in North Gaza. The repeated killing of Palestinians at food distribution sites in Gaza are an outcome of the aid project's failed design and departures from long-established norms for aid distribution in the territory, according to humanitarian provision experts, witness testimony, and visual evidence. The GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, rejected the criticism of the so-called experts and asserted that the repeating killings are not related to their aid centers. I shared in previous days the statistics about how 3 times or 4 times more people die when the aid centers are open than when they're closed. A proposal bearing GHF's name, seen by Reuters, describes a plan to build a large-scale camp inside and possibly outside Gaza to house the Palestinian population in order to, quote, replace Hamas control. According to sources, the plan to create such humanitarian transit areas, humanitarian my ass, has been submitted to the Trump administration and was recently discussed in the White House. The GHF declined that it had submitted the proposal and said it was not planning for the implementation of the humanitarian transit areas. Related to Israel-Iran and that ceasefire, an interview released yesterday from the Iranian President Pezeshkian stated that he believes the U.S. and Iran can resolve their differences through dialogue and talks. I heard on NPR this morning that there also was a claim in the past by the president that Israel had tried to assassinate him. But he says the U.S. and Israel can resolve their differences through dialogues and trust, but trust is a potential issue, questioning whether or not Iran can be sure that the U.S. would not give Israel permission to attack Iran again. Netanyahu's top advisor, Ron Dermer, told Israeli officials that he thinks Trump could green light renewed Israeli attacks on Iran if Tehran tries to revive its nuclear program. We've heard they're not going to give up enriching uranium. Dermer said last week when he met with Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Rubio, and the White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, those were conversations that they had when they met together last week. The U.S. has scheduled talks with Iran, Trump said yesterday, adding that Tehran, quote, wants to talk. Steve Witkoff said that the meeting would likely take place next week. And Iran has expelled approximately 800,000 Afghan refugees from its territory since March in a campaign that sharply accelerated in June. More than 50,000 people crossed back into Afghanistan last Friday. Iran-backed Houthi rebels yesterday claimed the Sunday attack on that vessel, the Liberian-flagged, Greek-owned bulk carrier, and launched on a new attack on a Liberian-flagged cargo ship. The UK Maritime Trade Operations said today that the vessel is under continuous attack and at least 2 people on board have been injured. 2 people are missing. The U.S. ambassador to Turkey and the U.S. special envoy for Syria, Thomas Barak, said he was unbelievably satisfied with Lebanon's response to a U.S. proposal of a strategy to disarm Hezbollah. So that's an update of what's going on in the Middle East, at least a snapshot of the last 24 hours. I would encourage you, an article just came out by Amir Tabon on Haaretz. He was actually in one of the kibbutzim during the Hamas attacks. He said, while Netanyahu dined with Trump, the feudal Gaza war brought more horror to Israel, let alone the horror that has been imposed on the Palestinian people. So may God go before us, and may we continue in our efforts in the name of Christ. Amen.